Hello, my name is Margaret Adele, and in October of 2018, I created this Booktube channel, and in October of 2023, I left it. I discussed at length why I wanted to leave, but basically, because this was still an unpaid hobby, this channel is not monetized, I wasn't feeling it, and if I wasn't feeling it, there just wasn't any reason to keep going. And at the time, TikTok was my favorite preferred form of video content. Now, I am filming this on January 19th of 2025. As of right now, TikTok is banned and may come back, but if it comes back, it'll probably be a bootlicking simulator.
Yeah, they already unbanned it, which means I trust it even less now.
So I don't really feel all of that empowered to go back. But even before then, I had been thinking about coming back to this channel a lot. You may have noticed that I did release a couple videos over 2024, namely all about my zero TBR challenge, because I did get my TBR to 0. I'll stop bragging about it eventually, and I just really wanted to share that. I was so proud of myself, but I had been thinking about it for a while. I've been loving writing a blog, but there were certain moments where I was like, I just kind of want to talk about it and wave this book around on a screen. And when I reopened to review requests this year, an author offered to send me a physical copy, and I'm like, but what's the point of a physical copy if it's just a digital blog? And so I've been thinking about it for a while. I've been turning it over in my head over and over again. And so when the TikTok ban became imminent, I was like, you know what? It is time for me to go back. I had tried talking about books on there, but it never really took off. I don't think my vibe fits book talk as well as it fit Booktube. And it was just time. But that being said, things aren't going to be the same. First, let's talk about what won't be here. I am not doing the TBR game for right now. I put it aside even on my blog a little bit ago. It was just too restrictive. It wasn't working for me anymore. And since putting it to the side, I am already at over 11 books for the month, despite still having another 12 days left. So I think that was the right call. I'm also not planning on doing a lot of readathons, if any. Even the reindeer readathon in December of 2024, the readathon I look forward to all year, I just kind of felt bleh about it. I don't know why. So there might be one or two exceptions, but for the most part, we're not really doing readathons. So what are we doing differently? What are we adding? One, monthly reports. In lieu of wrap-ups, I'm going to be checking in on the general state of my various challenges and awards judging and budget and such. I will be talking about notable reads, the very best and very worst that stuck out to me over the course of a month, but we're not just going to sit through and talk about literally every book, because I'm already in the double digits for January and we still got another week and a half left. That's just too much. But I do want to kind of give here's where I'm at in this challenge. Here's the notable read from the Indie Ink Awards, because yes, I got accepted to be a judge. And here's where I'm at in my budget, because I also have a really intense budget. We'll get into that later when we talk about my 2025 reading goals. But more of a here's where we're at, generally speaking, instead of trying to talk about literally every single book I read in the month. We are also going to have a lot of crossovers with the blog. I still love it. I think at one point in January, I posted 4 posts in one weekend. But what I want to do is to take those things I wrote about and essentially use them as scripts here that I then ad-lib on top of. So the post right now that I'm really most proud of is called In Defense of the Dumb Bitch: Why Characters Should Be Allowed to Make Heinously Stupid Decisions. I would take that, read through it like a script, and ad-lib on top of it as more things come to me. I never did that before. I never scripted. I might have had a little list of notes, but as a result, filming took forever because I was trying to figure out what I wanted to say while I was saying it, and so I had to take a cajillion takes just to figure out what the hell I was saying. So hopefully with that new kind of scripting with some ad-libbing, it'll go a lot faster, and I won't be taking quite as long to film, so it won't be quite as exhausting, which is part of the reason I left this channel in the first place. And also because, yeah, I am proud of what's on there, and I would like to, maybe push the blog a little bit more. But the big one I want to do is I want to bring solo TTRPGs to this space. also called journal RPGs. They are essentially role-playing games that you can play by yourself. No, it's not just writing a story, and we can get into it later, but essentially I have a lot of solo TTRPGs that I got from a charity bundle on Itch.io. I'm already part of the way through several of them, but I would like to do a here's how to play this for anyone else that might want to get into it, because it is probably the most accessible way to get into TTRPGs, because it doesn't require another person. It requires the booklet, digital or otherwise, and probably a journal. And in some cases, not even that. There are some of these that you can play literally just in your brain. But I want to do that more. I want to start pushing solo TTRPGs more. And also I want to give myself more incentive to play them, because a lot of cases I can get them pushed back. But it was one of the things I loved talking about on my TikTok, and I want to keep doing that. I also want to include other things like my paganism and crafting and stuff on there. Not that this is going to turn into a crochet channel or a pagan channel, but just putting more bits of my all-rounded life into this instead of keeping it so solely books. So let's talk about my 2025 reading goals. What am I going to be talking about in those monthly check-ins? Start with the obvious one, read 100 books. I beat this every year. I am already insanely ahead of schedule with this one. I think according to Storygraph, I'm like 6 books ahead of schedule already. It's January. But again, I never ever try to set myself a goal that would be hard to reach, because I don't want to default to those reading novellas or reading poetry collections only to get to that number. It's always a number that I can comfortably beat by like September, October, and then I get the holiday months as just fun me time. Number 2, get the NetGalley ratio to 95%. This one probably won't actually be too hard, because I haven't accepted that many NetGalley books. I just haven't reviewed like half of them, so my ratio is at like 50% right now. But I do want to get it up to 95%, not for any particular reason. I don't intend on like trying to go for the really popular books on NetGalley. I just told myself that I was going to start using it more when I got my TBR to 0, and that's just a fun number to shoot for. So here's hoping that I actually like the books that get off there. Fun fact, I have one that's like on the history of veterinary medicine that I am like weirdly hyped for. I don't know why, but I will start reviewing more from there. It will not become my primary review place. I am still all about the indie authors, but I think I can do it. Number 3, finish 5 series. I honestly think I set this goal too low, because I have already finished 1 series, and I've realized how many other series I'm only a book or 2 away from finishing. But my overall goal moving forward, not just for this year but for beyond, is to get caught up on all of my series. As of right now, I have to read over 70 books to get all caught up on all of them. And I made a whole post about it. I'll probably make a whole video, but I want to get all caught up. And then my reward for myself will be to start the Discworld series by Terry Pratchett. I just needed a different challenge to go after the 0 TBR, and this was like the second big challenge in the community to go after. But I am really excited, because I'm remembering how much I love all these series and like, why have I not been making more of an effort to finish them? They're good. So hopefully I will get caught up in at least 5, probably more. I'm hoping more series over the course of the year. I curse myself with loving super long series. Like, several of the series I'm working on are above 10 books. But hopefully at least some of them we can knock off the list. And then next year, it'll probably be a next year goal that I actually get caught up on everything. This next one is a bit strange to explain, but I want to further complicate my relationship with Amazon. I had thought about just like tossing it out and totally divesting myself from Amazon and all of its affiliates, but then I realized indie authors are still too caught up. They have to be for their careers, so I can't really support them as much as I want to if I totally step back. So we're getting into we're making the small changes and hoping that the community also keeps making small changes. But for right now, I have switched from Goodreads to Storygraph for my everyday book tracking, and I have switched from Audible to Libro FM for my audiobook listening. I will still be posting reviews both to Amazon and Goodreads, only because that's the best foot traffic place. In a lot of cases, The review books aren't even on Storygraph. Again, it's only January, but I have already had to ask 3 different authors to put their books on Storygraph, which maybe that's helpful, right? Maybe I'm helping authors get their footing in Storygraph by asking them to make the book and then giving that book a review immediately. Okay, like maybe I am helping. Maybe I am part of the community little steps moving. But I don't want to be like, oh, well, I'm not going to review on these places that is going to give you so many views and increase your chances of getting a sale just to avoid giving, $2.99 to Amazon. Because I will still be buying some ebooks from Amazon. Only because a lot of indie authors, if they're in KU, aren't allowed to have ebooks available anywhere else. So if that's the case, if there are no alternative options for those ebooks, I will go through Amazon, but I will be searching for series that have non-Amazon alternatives, including Barnes & Noble. Not that they're like super the best corporate-wise, but like they're a little bit better, and it's all relative morally when we're talking about late-stage capitalism. But I can't divest myself entirely, but I am going to take myself a couple steps further away and hope that I can kind of pull the community with me. This next one I'm so excited for because I'm already crushing it. I want to be a judge for more things. I want to get more into the indie book community. I want to make more connections in that way. And there are several indie book awards that you can sign up for to be a judge. And so originally, my goal had been that I wanted to sign up for the Indie Inc. Awards, which specializes in different marginalized identities. They have awards for like disability rep, mental health rep, queer rep, and I really wanted to get in on that. And I did get accepted to be a judge, so I am in that. And then I wanted to be, self-published science fiction competition. I'm calling it SIPSFIC. I don't know what the other acronym would be. This is the sci-fi cousin of SPIFBO, if you've ever seen that. I did consider doing SPIFBO. I have been asked before, but I don't really do high fantasy as much as I do sci-fi. However, this one I can't even apply to be a judge yet. The judging for the next round will not open until halfway through the year, which is great because the judging for Indie Inc. Awards will start a whole lot sooner, so I can focus on that in the interim. And then, as I was just going around on the internet, I discovered the Small Spec Book Awards, which is for speculative fiction published by small presses, and I got accepted to be an influencer and a reader for that. But that one will be way late when I need to do the influencing stuff. The influencing stuff won't even come around until December. So you may not see any content from that until later in the year, but I will be doing some reader stuff for it as the year progresses. And I'm just really excited to be able to make those connections. I've seen a lot of my indie author friends get really excited when they got Indie Inc. Awards in previous years, and so I really want to jump in. It's also really funny because the minimum they require of judges in the Indie Inc. Awards is they want you to read 5 books over 6 months, and I'm like, oh girl, I will give you much more than that. I don't know how many I'm going to read yet, but I'm definitely going to read more than 5. I've literally been sitting looking at my Indie Story Geek judge portal. I've already tried clicking on the reserve a copy button, but it keeps telling me that judging isn't open yet. It's coming. They're making the finalist lists now, but I keep clicking the button because I'm ready to go. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Low-key, I'm a little bit nervous about SIPSFIC because it's a lot more, you get given this large list with a group of other people, but I am excited to feel more of a connection to the community. I am excited to be like, yes, look at all my digital badges. I'm so important. And in general, I'm hoping that I can get more connections with the community as a whole because of this. Next up are the reading challenges, because I haven't given myself enough to do yet. I will be doing 3 challenges, 2 bingo boards, and then one of those longer list of prompts. I will be doing the 25 and 25 bingo board from Bree from 4 Paws in a Book, and I will be doing the bingo board from Hell from Literary Diversions. That is a one where it is meant to take you a really long time to fulfill 1 square on the board, but it is only 9 squares. But one of them is listen to 30 audiobooks. So that'll take a while, but I've already got several spots covered in the 25 and 25. And then normally this would be the part where I tell you that I'm doing the Pop Sugar Challenge again, because I've beaten it several years in a row, except the 2025 Pop Sugar Challenge requires the use of AI in one of its prompts. So we're done with Pop Sugar, and instead I'm doing the 52 book challenge, or 52 book club, which has been around for a while, I believe, a challenge that emphasizes that how books apply to the prompts is entirely up to you. For example, they say something like, one of the prompts for 2025 is a book with sprayed edges. And in the description, they're like, you can just take one of your books and spray the edges. And I'm like, I kind of want to do that. I kind of want to DIY my own sprayed edges. Like, that sounds like fun. And again, I've already covered several of the prompts. I'm not super trying really hard to cover the prompts right now. It's more like I'm doing my regular reading, my other challenges, and then if it applies for that challenge, be like, oh yeah, let's take that. And then probably later on in the year, when I hit the weird ones that I can't just stumble across, then I'll get serious about it. But for right now, I'm making great progress. It is a lot of fun to have the challenges section on Storygraph. That one's new for me. So I am really jazzed about it right now. Just in general, I'm feeling kind of like energized about reading currently, which probably is a sign of how stressed I am in the rest of my life. We're one-carring it right now because we desperately need to get a new car, and a bunch of other household stuff has been going wrong. It's a thing. But that usually means that my reading's going to go great. That's how I cope. But yes, these reading challenges are fantastic. But now we got to talk about probably the hardest challenge of all of these. Like I mentioned before, things are iffy with household stuff. We are in the Carl and Ellie don't go to Paradise Falls montage of our lives. And those things all require funding. So I am making it a fun challenge to limit my book buying a lot. By that, I mean I have a $30 budget for the entire month. Now, this does carry over. If, for example, I only spend $25 in January, I will have $35 in February, with the idea being that over the entire course of the year, I will not have spent more than $360 for the entire year, not including like gift cards. Fingers crossed. I'm really hoping I get gift cards for my birthday this year. But while that may sound really restrictive, the kind of books I'm buying aren't too pricey, mostly because I am indie ebooks or used books, and those tend to be $7 or less, so I can get a decent amount for that. But even then, like, I've already been like, okay, I gotta be really on it, you know, can't buy the book unless I know for a fact that I am going to be reading it next. And I'm gonna be honest, this is probably one of the only challenges that I've set for myself that I don't know if I'm gonna actually beat. I have a feeling that once we start getting some more stuff settled down, because we're already in the middle of, you know, saving up, and we're not eating out, and we're cutting back a lot to save up for this stuff. My guess is by like the second half of the year, I'll probably be spending more per month. But my original goal before everything had started going wrong was to only do $50 a month. So if we do get to that point where I feel comfortable spending more, it'll probably still just be $50, because I also like the challenge. I like forcing myself to only buy the books that I'm like so super excited for and want to start reading immediately. But also, it's not so restrictive because I have so many options for free books. I have all of the indie review requests I get. I have a little free library in front of my house. I have the regular library system. I have NetGalley. I have those free $0 ebook deals. Like, I have a lot of stuff. Oh, and the $30 does not include my Libro subscription, because monthly subscriptions are just in a different place in our household budget. So, like, if that was a thing, I would just say, oh, $45 or whatever. But that being said, if I am going along listening to audiobooks and I find myself really not using those credits at all, I might be like, okay, maybe let's nix the subscription. But for right now, I have been using it a little bit, and I do know for a fact that one of the series I'm working on is in there in audiobook form. So we'll include it for now, and hopefully life calms down like a little bit. And that is it. My channel update, my 2025 reading goals, my grand return to the Booktube scene. I do hope that I can be a little bit better about it this time. I cut a lot of corners last time. One of those, I don't want to put in a lot of effort, but I still low-key want the rewards type situation. I don't expect to be flooded with new subscribers or to suddenly make this the monetized channel. It'll still be similar to what it was before with those new changes, and I probably will start doing indie reviews on here again. I likely will take the blog scripting approach where I will write out the review through the blog first, then read it and add on to it, just because that's easier. But I am excited to start waving books around and getting excited on camera again. It's been a while. I have missed this. I don't know how often I'll be posting yet. I still got to figure out where all this fits into the new chaotic schedule, but I'm happy to be here. And with nothing else to say, I hope you have a wonderful day and a marvelous tomorrow.